Hello, and welcome to this episode of Love, Sex, Food. We've been away for a while, but we are back. And today, I've kind of putting a bit of a surprise on Jigs. So we decided that we would go episode by episode, thinking of what we wanted to talk about, but perhaps not telling the other person. So Jigs is sitting here completely unaware of what I'm about to say. And I was thinking about what it was that I wanted this episode to be about. And I think at the moment, there's a lot of girlfriends in my life who are really open to receive their partner. And it's actually quite hard to listen sometimes because I see these women as amazing, vivacious, loving life, really ready to commit to a loving relationship. And yet it doesn't really seem to land. And, I've kind of been in that space a little bit myself in the past, but I actually chose celibacy for 3 years to really get to know myself. And I had a great time. But I know for some people, they feel like, biological clock is ticking, or perhaps it's just been a while, or they've just got to that stage in their life where being single just doesn't resonate anymore. And so I was thinking, what reflection can I give? And then I thought, okay, I'm going to ask Jigs today that question from a man's perspective because obviously, if you've listened to our other episodes, you'll know that he's been on 500 first dates. He's got lots of experience dating, understands women's psyche, all of those things. So today's question, Jigs, is if you had to offer five pieces of kind of reflection to someone who was open to meet their person, but perhaps for whatever reason it's just not happening. What would those five things be? And I know I'll kind of put you on the spot here, but when we have these conversations about our friends and things like that, you've always got lots of wisdom to share. So how's that sitting with you? Is that an easy question or a hard question?
No, I mean it's a very pertinent question. Um, so I'm not going to put these five in order of importance. I'm just going to say five things that come into my head. Um, I'd say one of them is really kind of being at peace with yourself. I think that's a huge part of it. I think so many people who I've met um, and even in my own experience, when you force a situation, when you force something, you necessarily you you get the you get the outcome that you think you desire by forcing something through, and ultimately, love and connection is not something that should ever be forced. Because if you stop putting the effort in, and if it falls down, then it wasn't meant to be yours in the first place.
What would you say then when you say how would you know if you're forcing something? Because I think, you can only know what you can know, and you can have blind spots in dating, can't you? Because
Yeah.
you can just be dating from this repeating pattern where you keep choosing the same person over and over again.
Well, I think that in itself is a perfect example, right? Of choosing the same people over and over again, getting the same kind of outcome. That's kind of the definition of insanity there. So I think you've got to ultimately internalize what you're looking for and really ask yourself what are your values? Like, you know, are you chasing someone who has a certain type of career, a certain type of this, certain type of lifestyle? Or are you looking at someone from a very different kind of just lens and saying, right, I want someone who's kind. I want someone who's empathetic. I want someone who's this. I want someone who's that. I think everyone's different. And I think my values changed massively from when I was younger to as I grew and I ultimately just matured. And my values shifted from things that were more aesthetic to what was more deeper in a person. A- And and I said this to you actually yesterday
Yeah, you did,
randomly,
yeah.
was that what I don't care, like beauty for me is not how stunning someone is. Like I can appreciate a beautiful woman,
Mhm.
as you know.
Yeah.
I think beauty, I mean, there are some exceptionally beautiful women in this world, but what makes them um, good to look at and what makes them beautiful for me is one thing, and that's if they've got this energy of kindness about them. Arrogance or this level of yeah, just like when someone's just seems like not a very nice person. Well, you might be good looking, but that's not that's not my idea of beauty. So going back to values, I think that's really important. Like really ask yourself, what are you truly looking for? And also, are your values aligned with the values that you're ultimately looking for? So that's one of the things.
Mhm.
Um,
What were your values then?
I think for me it was um, kindness, um, generosity, um, but generous not from a space of, I think people get that wrong, where people can be looking for someone to take care of them. Generosity is just a state of play. Like you and I, right, just love to be generous to people, whether it's taking them out on an experience, doing this. It's not about buying someone a handbag.
No, like, yesterday, I just picked up the bill for me and my friend when we were out because I was like I just felt like, yeah, I wanna take this I wanna offer you this because 'cause I've had a great time, and also then I was like, "Hey, you get the lunch next time." So
Yeah.
it's just that kind of idea that between friends, there's this energy that just goes backwards and forwards.
Yeah. Which makes things less transactional.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think in a world currently where we live in, there's so many things that are very transactional that you kind of lose what's real.
Mhm.
So I think kindness, generosity, freedom. I think if you and I were two people or one of us did a 9 to 5, I think we would lose the spontaneity and the creativity that we have as a couple.
Well, we wouldn't be doing this podcast
Yeah.
at 10 a.m. in the morning on a Friday in bed.
Yeah, and also one of the reasons why we've kind of just been off the grid is not because we couldn't be bothered. It's like we speak about love, sex, food constantly. It's just we have been up to our eyeballs in honeymoon, then traveling. We're starting a new business together in India.
Fun, basically.
Yeah,
We've been
just
having a lot of fun.
and it's just been full on. But we also love this. But we're aligned and our values are aligned. And I
You
think that's
didn't
a huge part.
you didn't say one of your values was great hair.
Great. Well, that's
That's
because
one of my top values.
yeah, I mean, I don't have any, so she makes up for both of us. So values, I think the other thing is that also I think that the energy you give out is the energy that you ultimately tend to receive. So I think a, a lot of this sounds like my 5 top tips are to do with you, and I think they actually are. I think all you can control is what you can control, and ultimately you can control yourself, your behavior, your energy, your mood, your mindset. And if you have all that in the right place, then when you go out, if your energy is one of joy and curiosity and fun and just, hey, let's just have a great time. You know what? People can see that energy. People can really feel that energy, and it's really attractive. But when you yourself are looking, you're searching, you're scanning the room, you're eager, and you can't let your hair down. Obviously, I can't let my hair down, but you don't want to let your hair down because you can't enjoy the moment. Well, do you know what? I mean, I I could read that in a room very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, one of the one of the many things that I love about you is that you just don't give a like, the other day, we were coming back from somewhere, and we've got this thing that at the White City, it's called White City Disco, because we always have to change at White City to catch the right train to come back to where we live. And it's turned into White City Disco because we just dance. We just dance,
on the
um,
platform.
on the platform. And, you
So
know,
much so we actually didn't get on the train to take us home because we were having too much fun.
I mean, come on, Whitney was on, so,
Mm.
so we had to dance. But it just, you know what? I'm gonna try and say this saying and get it right, because I always get it wrong. You don't was it? Um, you don't get old because you stop playing.
No.
No, bollocks. What is it?
It's you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. I got
That's
it
it.
right. Oh
There
my
you go,
god.
there you go.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's definitely it.
And
So what is that then? So principle number 2 is like
bollocks, I think I've
be
just
be th
mashed them all up.
yeah, no, I think number 2 was like be the energy that you seek basically,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
And what's really interesting about that is that our first date, I came with very, very playful energy, potentially could be too much for someone who wasn't you. Because I was like, look, let's go
yeah,
out on a potentially 4-hour date. It wasn't like a coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was like, let's start with cocktails. We've got these four stops, four types of like different experiences. And but I was very much in that energy that I thought, like, screw it, let's do it. Like, I really want to do this. And for some reason, in your first messages to me, there was this lightness, this playfulness. Like you said right at the beginning, oh, like I've got this idea, I've got this dream, I'm going to have this place called Seva. I'll do the food and you can do the wellness. And that
yeah,
was after about, I don't know, like 4 messages backwards and forwards. And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of like up for it. But I was so glad that I just threw that out there. It was like something I wanted to do. And I thought, what the heck? Like I've got nothing to lose. If I get there and it's just really not vibing,
yeah,
then we just like, I don't know, just call it a day after main course. You don't
yeah.
have to do it. But
I mean, energy and and things in common are very I mean, you think I think the other thing is actually having things in common, having similar interests plays a huge part because it means that most people work a hell of a lot and then they connect with their partner when they get home or
yeah,
on weekends. So most of your life is spent working. There's less time you building a relationship with your partner. So in order for that to truly happen, you need to have things in common, right?
yeah.
Um, Even just this morning, we went on a bit of a music hunt, listening to music, talking about DJing, talking about rare grooves. And we found this spot in Southeast London that we're now going to go dancing to next week. And it's
Uh-uh.
just, I think because we have so many things in common and we like to play, I think having knowing what you like and not fully compromising. I'm not saying if you could find someone that has more things in common than not, I think that's better. But the chance, I mean, we don't have everything in common.
That's what I mean. I think it's having like your two, on that circle diagram, you're two separate people that have your own worlds and all the things that you love and your friends and your passions and your purpose and your interests. But then I think it has to overlap a little bit in the middle.
Yeah,
So you can kind of go in that middle bit. And then when you both got a joint passion for it, it kind of explodes into like even more energy. But then you can also go into your own thing as well.
yeah,
I mean, there are things that you've introduced me to. Like I'm like cricket, for example. I never, ever, ever would have gone to cricket,
yeah,
but now I really appreciate it. And I love it. I love the atmosphere. I understand it, but also I really love how happy it makes you as well. So I am enjoying it. You're enjoying it,
yeah,
and it's great. And you've done some pretty wild and out there things with me.
yeah. Breath work, sound, yoga.
Termascal.
tiramisu, yeah,
Tiramisu,
tiramisu.
yeah, sweat
Um,
lodge as we
and and I think you've got to be real to yourself. Like, don't like just we were talking about sex the other day and sex in I
movies and
movies.
TV.
I will bring this back, but to a point, but it's a really good example of what we're shown in the world when it comes to movies and fiction and all this stuff is that if you look at a sex scene, it's anything between 5 seconds and 30 seconds. And it's the moment of climax. It's that passion. You're like, raw, that's what sex should be like. When in actual real, like, that's been staged, right? The what needs to happen is the build up, the 35 minutes, the flirting at the even on the train or at the restaurant that builds up to this moment of passion, of lovemaking, of sex, of intimacy, and then the journey, all you see in the movie is that part, and you think, "Holy shit, that's what sex should be like." Well, the chances are it's not really like that, but that's the other part is that you yourself have to be realistic in what you truly want in your relationship. Don't base it off fiction, base it off real life, base it off your own experience, base it off the things that you would like in a partner. And I think once you take away from the world of Instagram and social media and what society thinks you should have in a multi-million pound blockbuster and you're real, then you give yourself a better chance.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, so principle 3 is sort of have standards, but don't have unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I was saying this actually about motherhood, is that, it's very difficult to have it all, we're told this, like, "You can have it all." But I don't know really if you can have it all and what all of it is actually, because for me, all of it is being at peace with whatever is arising at that moment. So, when you're trying to hold down a job and be very connected to your career, and you're trying to raise your kids, there's a conflict that arises because that is actually quite unrealistic in terms of your energy. So it's a question of what do I need to prioritize, and I think that's the same in relationships. Like you have to prioritize in a when you're looking for a partner, what are the most important things? Because some of the other things just come and go, don't they? Like
Yeah.
money, jobs, um, even health or something like that. You don't you if you're marrying someone because you think they've got a really fit body, like be aware that we age, like things happen,
Mm.
like our bodies change. You have babies, you change and you grow and you develop, and you become different kind of beautiful along the way. So maybe that's a good one for number 3.
Number 4, I think I mashed them all up. Um,
Yeah.
I think the other
What about, like, what we were talking about yesterday? What about things where you need to get out? Like those, like, I know you don't like saying red flags because you don't believe in that, but what about when perhaps you're wasting your
well
time on things that aren't going anywhere?
well, I think for that, that's nervous system regulation,
Mhm.
right? I think if you're if you if your partner or whoever you're dating doesn't put you at peace, that doesn't regulate your nervous system, if you don't feel in that calm, then I would challenge why are you there? And I think some people are so scared of losing a person that they would rather be in an uncomfortable position than to be alone and be happy and
Mm.
at peace. And I think when when someone asks, I mean, growth is important, right?
Yeah.
Growth in a relationship is important. Doing things that you might not have done before together as an individual, I think that's all great. But growth and control are two very different
Mm.
things. And sadly, what happens is when you date from a place of desperation, you confuse growth and control. And what tends to happen there is that you only see the sunshine when in actual fact, what's happening is that it's chipping away at your own ultimately, it's chipping away at your own, like, just self-esteem and your self-confidence. So I think going back to the 4th point should be, um God, um,
If you had a mi if your mind gone blank.
yeah, proper mind blank.
We were saying about expectation. No, we weren't. That was point 3. Point 4 was about your trusting that your nervous system is actually gonna tell you what's right for
Yeah,
you. And I
trust your gut.
yeah, I think that one of the things I noticed when I was dating was that if my nervous system didn't feel good, the person just wasn't the right match for me. And that didn't mean that they were a bad person or I was a bad person, but it's like what you're signing up for. And I think sometimes when you're dating, you kind of take you actually bypass your gut feelings and you just want it to work out so much. You've got this fantasy of this is my person, or what would happen if this happened. I can imagine us doing this, I can imagine us doing that. And you hold on to the good bits and you kind of ignore all of the other parts. And one of the things I noticed, the real turning point for me was before I met you, was I went, why do I have this strange relationship in date with dating that I don't have with anything else in my life? Like I have amazing friendships. I'm fearless in my career. I have fantastic relationships with my kids. I feel at peace with everything. But then when it comes to dating, why do I suddenly have this kind of strange like anxiety? And that was the thing, that if dating causes you anxiety, then perhaps that's the opportunity to look at what is actually causing
Yeah,
that. What is that inside of you that creates the feeling? And when you truly sit with that and you become at ease with it, I think that it clears the sort of a deeper anxiety actually about getting into a relationship with someone. Because let's face it, getting into a relationship with someone actually is was it's huge because you are then giving, potentially 50% of your time to somebody else. And so you need to be able to feel at peace with yourself, and at peace in with what you're creating and know what you're creating. I believe when you get into a relationship with somebody, or there can be lots of bumps in the road. Now, I'm not saying, and that's part of everything, isn't it? Think about your relationship with best friends, kids, your parents, all the rest of it. No relationship is perfect. But I think if you don't know exactly what you want, and that's coming from your body, not your mind, then you once you get into a relationship, you can get really anxious. And for me, being anxious in a relationship is actually one of the worst
mhm,
feelings. I hate it.
yeah.
So what about the last point?
I would say the last point for me is belief and believe and trust and trust. I think you're better off believing and hoping and manifesting the right person and knowing that they will show up when they're meant to show up. And until then, living in your highest frequency. And I think there are a lot of people out there that say they believe, but deep down they don't.
Yeah, I think
Deep,
that's probably true.
deep down they've lost. Like they're like, am I going to meet my person? Am I going to meet my person?
But I think some of that is like burnout and exhaustion,
Yeah.
which is real, like that's the thing is that how, so then you've got to get yourself from that place of burnout and exhaustion into a place of, yeah, like I'm excited about this rather than, oh no, like, where is he? Or how am I going to find him? Or all of
Yeah.
these different things.
I mean, obviously, if you're sat at home every night of the week, well, and you're ordering takeout, then it could be the delivery driver. But if that's not your type of man, then you need to go out and make a social effort. And I think things like doing things that are of interest to you. So not just going to a bar and having a drink. I mean, obviously, if you love to drink, then go to a bar. But if you like books or if you like cooking or whatever you like, art, go and spend a day at a museum or art gallery. Just go and do something that takes you out of your comfort zone. And also, just the other thing is that we we're very lucky that um, the world that we live in now, we have really strong friendships, and it means that we spend a lot of time with our friends. And that is something that I wouldn't trade for anything. But when you're single, what can happen is that if you spend a lot of time with your friends and you don't spend time on your own doing something where you could potentially meet cute or meet someone, you kind of keep your blinkers on because you're with your friends, you're engrossed in conversation, you love hanging out with them, and it's very rare that then you will be able to find someone outside of your friendship circle. We're actually going to watch a concert next week on Thursday, and we're going in with one of my really close friends, and we've got 4 tickets. She's single, and she challenged us to find her a date. So we've been honestly, I mean, it was a great idea, and I've really embraced it. I've put, right, I've actively spoken to men um, in the co-working space that I'm at, and start having conversations with them because I've got nothing to lose. I'm not pimping out my friend immediately. I'm just making sure that they're the right type of person, that their values somewhat align. And then I would drop the ball. But so far, I've not yet met anyone. But I've enjoyed the process. She's enjoying the process of us trying. And I think this is the thing is that, you know, y- it takes I'm lost on that. But what I will say is this, is that belief and really wanting it deep down. And if you know that you feel you believe but you don't, go back and ask yourself what has caused you not to fully believe that your person is out there.
Mm,
And I think at that point I would stop searching externally and I would start looking internally
yeah.
at that.
I mean, I would say that I do agree about doing things that you love to do. But I would do it from the perspective that you just love to do them because I fell into a bit of a trap of thinking if I go to these places, like I did a lot of traveling, I was in Bali, I was in Peru, I was in a lot of like kind of ceremonial spaces and things like that. And because I thought that my person was going to be there. But actually, what happened was he wasn't there, but I was there. That version of me that needed to like heal a few things, see a few things, challenge myself, grow, make myself uncomfortable. That person, I met myself there. I didn't meet you because actually you weren't there at all.
Yeah.
You were like at Trevor Nelson and like hanging out at Soho House. Like you would never were going to be in those spaces. But I thought that you were. But the reason why I actually went there was because because I was waiting for myself when I was there. Anyway, let's summarize the 5 points, but you're not even going to be able
I'm not going to
to.
remember the 5 points, Mr.
Okay.
ADHD.
Okay. Due to Jig's blankness, you'll have to go back to the beginning of the episode to actually
Last
summarize
one was
them.
belief. Um,
You need to have your coffee. You need to have some coffee before you do these
okay.
episodes.
Yeah.
Like
So,
you've not had caffeine this morning.
yeah, yes. I mean, and that's what happens when you catch me off guard completely.
Well, that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. No, I mean, I think the reason why I chose this question is because genuinely, you have got a lot of experience on dating. And I think the thing that kind of, if I had to summarize what all those 5 points are, right, in one word,
Yeah.
it would be resilience.
Yeah.
Like, stay in the game, don't get disappointed, keep believing, have fun along the way. Know that, we've talked about this before, that the chances of actually meeting with us, the chances of meeting a person, getting engaged within 6 months, getting married within a year, then, moving to another country, starting a business together, all of those things, they're extremely remote. So whenever we evaluate, like, do you think this could actually happen? Do you think we could do this? I always go back to, well, we managed to find each other in 8.8 billion people, so it is possible. And I think it's that belief that everything in life is a risk, everything in life is a gamble, everything in life you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to be vulnerable, and you've got to have the resilience that if it doesn't work out, there will be something better, this or better.
Yeah.
I think so. Would that be would that be,
Yeah.
have I been a good, like, secretary here and summarized
That was
your
brilliant.
words for the audience?
That I mean, that was brilliant. I mean, resilience is a very powerful word. Um, and so just to soften it, I might add connection. And that's not connection to the person, that's also being connected to yourself. And I think in order to connect with someone else, you truly need to be connected to yourself first. And I think do the work, spend the time, take a break from dating if it's becoming exhausting, reset your boundaries, understand your values. Um,
Align your life to
yeah,
the best version that you want for yourself, so that when you meet someone, you don't have to compromise either, because when you fall into a relationship with someone, it's very easy to start compromising things. So make your life so incredible that you want to create space in your life for somebody else, because you understand the value of yourself, and everything that you surround yourself with. And I think then it really does feel like the cherry on the cake, rather than just trying to fill a space that might feel empty. Create that overflow, and then, yeah,
abundance.
that abundance, and it really comes to you. So, all right. Well, that was my question today.
Thanks.
So you're going to get me back next time by
S-
springing one on me.
So we are, we need to be more consistent at creating these episodes. So
We're consistently inconsistent.
we are consistently inconsistent. So next week, I'm going to spring a question on Prema, and I think we're going to take it week by week, and that way we will hold each other accountable. So next week, it's my turn to spring a question on you.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll probably do it late at night when you are not at your best because I struggle in the
Thanks.
mornings.
Thank you. Yeah.
Um,
And
so
and also we are planning an event in London. Well, I'm planning an event. I'm trying to get Jigs on board, because I'm a kind of screw it, let's do it kind of person, and I just want to get rough and ready and do a Love Sex Food safari somewhere in London in August. So that is kind of in the mix. I wouldn't say it's fully formed, but it's what I feel would be a fun celebration, because I think it will be almost a year actually
yeah,
since we've had the podcast. Um, although we've only done 7 episodes, which is very bad of us. But like I say, we
life happens,
we
shit
had a
gets
bit
in the
we had
way.
a bit
Sorry.
going on, but um, we still, in the meantime, there's been a lot of love. There's been a goddamn a lot of food,
Yeah.
and plenty of sex.
Yeah.
So we're in integrity with our podcast.
Not
All
who
right.
I'm like, "Who you been having sex with?"
Shh. Right. Anyway, so we'll see you on the next episode.
Until next time, bye.
Bye.